Hello everybody, and I hope you're having a fantastic day. And in this video I'm going to be talking about the special spawn that just came out. Now before I go any further in talking about whether you should do the special spawn or not, I only recommend doing the very first spawn up here for 100 gems. If you're not doing that, I don't recommend touching any of these other spawns. That's right, even the cost 28 guarantee or higher, I don't recommend touching them at all. Now I know this may sound weird because I say this over and over and over and over again, but I recommend the class spawn over these spawns. I know a lot of y'all be like, why do you keep recommending the class spawn? Because that's how good the class spawn is. That's how much of a discount the class spawn is, and that's how recommended and good to people the class spawn is. It's literally probably one of the most friendliest and OP spawns for people out there nowadays that are actually looking to get really gear score, to be fairly honest, in general. Just become a better player. As a really late endgame person, this spawn is something you should stick with, but again, even when it comes to that, I don't recommend touching the 50 gems. Even if you need this type of gear to actually become stronger, even then I still don't recommend touching the 50 gems. But anyways, there are so many reasons why I would recommend the class spawn over this spawn. Okay, so the first thing I see that it would be recommended over the class spawn over the spawn is this one guarantees a weapon. One cost 28 or higher SSR. 28 or higher SSR being 33 cost ultra, so when you infuse it, it's going to be 33 cost. And it's a random weapon. So that means it could be a weapon of any class, and it's going to be random. You could be a mage or an archer and get lances like 3 times in a row doing this. Seriously, that's how bad these types of things are. In the class spawn, you're allowed to choose the weapon of your class. It's going to be 32 cost or higher guaranteed, so it's going to be around 32 to 34, maybe 35 in the next class spawn. But as for now, in the last class spawn, the latest class spawn, they have up to 34 cost weapons, 35 cost armors I'm pretty sure, but 34 cost weapons. So keep that in mind while you're doing the class spawn. It's going to be 32 to 34 cost weapons, but on top of it, it's going to be infused 4 times. So by the time you're done spawning both of these spawns, even if you get something that is 32 cost, while this is 33 cost, you're going to have more gear score, you're going to get more stats off of that, because literally it's infused 4 times. And infusion after 3 times becomes a huge pain. The first 3 infusions are alright, and then the infusion at the 4th level is such a huge pain, and it is infused 4 times. So I highly recommend going after these weapons in the class spawn rather than this one, because no matter what, you're going to be getting something that is going to help you if you really need this types of weapons. This one is not guaranteed whatsoever to help you whatsoever. Class spawns will help you nearly no matter what, so I highly recommend going for class spawns rather than going for, let's say, weapon spawns. And with that being said, moving on from there, the next reason why I recommend class spawns over these spawns right here, these random, not random spawns, but the ones that is not the first one, pretty much any other one besides the first one, is because each and every spawn in here only offers 5.99% rates on the SSR. In the class spawn, you actually have an 8% chance to get an SSR, and on top of it, it's going to be of something you chose. So if you chose like soldier spawn, you're going to have an 8% chance to get a soldier weapon at an SSR. Or if you chose possibly the lancer spawn, you're going to get an 8% chance to get an SSR as a lancer spawn. So on top of you getting a guaranteed, the only thing that's in the spawn pool whatsoever will be the weapons or the armors that you chose for the class spawn. So that's why I recommend the class spawn over the spawn, because you're getting better rates, you're choosing the weapon of your class, so you're choosing the gear piece that you want to obtain, and it's going to be infused 4 times, which is really good. So that's why I recommend it, because it's just so much better. It destroys everything in the spawn except for the special spawn. Reason for this being is it offers weapons and armor exclusive to this. Now, would this be worth it? What are the armors? Are the armors and weapons any good, to be fairly honest? Overall, yeah, this stuff's worth it. These intact estimates right here are probably the best testaments in the game to actually obtain. These are pretty much a better version of Fatal Testament XXL, because if you look at Fatal Testament XXL, I can't tell you the actually percent chance that these actually increase your damage. I can't tell you the ability power they give per each proc, but what I can tell you is it says right here in Fatal Testament XXL, chance to increase physical and magical damage when using an ability. And as we all know, Fatal Testament is like the king of the testaments. And this one, it says for the attack testament or the assault testament, I'm not sure which one it is. It's the attack testament. Chance to tremendously increase physical magical damage when using an ability. So in other words, A team themselves is claiming that the attack testament is actually better than the Fatal Testament. So when it comes to actually proccing and doing the loads of damage, attack testament, this testament right here, is probably the best testament in the game to actually make that happen. So if you're looking for full out offense, like if you're an archer, or if you're looking for full out offense as a mage, any DPS class, right, this stuff would be recommended to grab, because I think there are a couple weapons in the game that have attack testament. I have a 31 cost bow that has attack testament. But if you don't have any attack testaments, I definitely grab these armors. These armors are going to help you out. And even then, if you're running a full DPS set, it's nice to have armors that have offensive capabilities, because when they have offensive capabilities, that means you're able to customize what other offensive capabilities you can be using in your weapon slot instead. So definitely, I would go for these if you can, so that way you can max out your DPS if you're a DPS class. And the weapons themselves, the weapons I'd say are pretty good, not because of the basic skill, because of the ability they offer. They're going to give a lot of gear score because they're the highest cost in the game. Obviously, the skill that they offer is pretty good. It's not like crappy at all. It's not a pushover. It's decent. It's pretty good. But the ability is what actually makes these weapons worth it, to be fairly honest, in the long run. Because these abilities right here, every ability a weapon offers can be replaced by the regular attack. So that regular attack that ignores most of everybody except for maybe a lancer can be replaced by these. And with these offer abilities and moves that are only exclusive to special classes. And let me tell you, these are really nice moves for these special classes. Alrighty, right here we got Vitality. It's a rogue exclusive ability. Pretty much what it does, it increases a single ally's max HP by 30% for 20 seconds and cast a ward on the target. Ward pretty much leaves you at 1% health when you should be dead. This can be useful in many scenarios. So perhaps like you want to take damage in a Unison battle, if you activate this, it's so OP. Like you probably don't even need the opening skill ward in your armors or anything. Seriously, it's that OP. It's so freaking strong. It's retarded and ridiculous. So yeah, and on top of it, increasing a player's HP, like that yellow half bar thingy that pops up after you do that, it heals a little bit as well on top of it. So not only are you increasing their HP so they can take more damage, you're also healing them a little bit. So this is a pretty good move for a rook. The snatch right here helps out a lot because it decreases, like if you're an actual player, it decreases the cost recovery speed by 5 and increases yours by 5. So as a treasure hunter, you're going to have more costs. That way you can use your moves a lot more, while they have decreased costs, so they're going to have a harder time activating their moves because they're not going to have as much cost because their cost recovery is down while yours is up. But this is really helpful in player versus enemy because they both offer pretty much when the target is an NPC, that means a non-player, that means a computer that has, like, you know, item drop rate. Like let's say you're doing like the Ekigapasa quest, you use these invisible hunt moves or the snatch and invisible hunt move, because the only difference between both of them is this one uses physical and magical damage, and this one uses physical damage right here, as you can see. So this one uses both physical and magical damage. This one only uses physical damage. Anyways, going on from there, they help increase the target's item drop rate. So if you're having trouble with drop rates or item drop rates from enemies like the Kapasas or perhaps the lemons you fight, if you're having trouble with the drop rate, you definitely run this as a treasure hunter because this will help out a lot. The treasure hunter already has a move, but that move is going to have like a 6-second cooldown. While during a 6-second cooldown, during that 6 seconds or 5 seconds when it's cooling down, it's nice to have another move that does nearly the exact same thing, so that way you can keep the increased chance of a drop rate rolling for that mission. And that's pretty much that right there. And these right here are probably the best abilities I have seen that can replace attack for the Berserker, because the Berserkers are all out offensive characters. Flashbang and Spread Shot. The only difference between these two moves right here is this one's for physical damage, physical or magic damage, and then this one is for magic damage. So that's that right there. This one's randomly for physical or magical, and this one's for magical. Pretty much what they do is the ability power, 60, they attack 3 times. That is really strong for the type of move they are. The added effect reduces the HP recovery effects for a single enemy by 10 seconds. So even though these are pretty powerful for an attack move, they also have no side effects. Like usually the Berserker moves have side effects. These have no side effects. And on top of it, these nearly have the same cooldown time and costs. They pretty much cost the same as a regular attack. So these are so strong for the cooldown time, and the cost they give really are strong moves for that. Like, you're going to maximize your DPS using these. The Treasure Hunter's move costs a little bit, but it has nice cooldown time. And as for the Rook's move right over here, it doesn't have bad cost or cooldown time whatsoever for a ward caster and an HP buffer. So definitely all these moves right here are super useful. Really super useful to use for your classes. And with that being said, would it be worth it to do 400 gems, or should I wait for the box spawn? I don't recommend ever waiting for the box spawn. Reason for this being is 700 times 3 actually equals 2,100. So it's going to take 2,100 gems to finish getting all 700 prizes. And I don't think that's going to be worth it, considering most of what you're getting as rare tickets. It's just retarded. If you want rares, you can do pretty much any spawn in the book, including the video point spawn over and over. So A-Team, that's kind of a ripoff, to be fairly honest. But anyways, yeah, all the featured prizes that would be in here, approximately, that would be in, like, this special spawn, in the box spawn. Like, imagine this special spawn, right? Having a box spawn, it's going to be, I've counted this one offers 19 prizes, so it's going to be approximately around 19 of the featured prizes over 700. 19 out of a 700 chance is not a good amount. It really isn't. And this one, you could get one for 100 gems right off the bat. 100 gems. It's even cheaper than a treasure spawn to get a featured gear in here than it is in a treasure spawn. The difference between this one and a treasure spawn is a treasure spawn might be more expensive, but at the very end, when you get enough, you're able to choose the weapon and armor you want that is featured. This one is actually going to be completely random. So even though this is cheaper, this is going to be more random than the treasure spawn. So that's the difference between the special spawn and the treasure spawn. So overall, I would recommend myself to do the featured one, the very first one, because it offers really good stuff. But keep in mind, it's going to be completely random, to be fairly honest, overall, just in general. So if you don't like the fact that it's going to be random, and there's a lot more helpless stuff than helpful, like let's say you wouldn't mind running pretty much most of the classes in here, or getting the armors at all, which I recommend getting the armors if you're any DPS class, I would definitely go for the spawn. And with that being said, I hope this helped out, and I will see you in the next video. This is the AzureWrath. I'm out. Peace.